us a YouTube star leading laps in the ARCA race the day before. It gave us a radio call that competed even more. So now it's a one-lap shootout for the win. Robusto restart Saturday, April 25th, the ARCA Menard Series, Alabama. They cleaned everything up. Somebody else even crashed under caution, which delayed things. Something got in the way. On Sunday, 26 of the 40 cars in the field got collected. He did finish 4th in the ARCA East race that same day, though. His other ARCA run, best friend was racing right there with him. That friend goes by Squirrel McNutt online.
The question of whether Cleetus McFarland belongs in bigger NASCAR opportunities, just as he was not ready to race in the O'Reilly Series weeks earlier. He was back.
Didn't have a working radio. He got turned down into Ruggiero, and that started a
drag race. That is Cleetus McFarland in one sentence.
He's Glenn, the first road course of the year on Fox Sports 2. Cleetus's next
who believed in him before almost anyone else in the garage did. After Talladega
saved his entire race. From there, Hocevar managed his track position through the final stage, erupted. Standing on pit road watching all of this unfold in real time was Carson Hocevar down the Talladega front stretch after winning the Jack Links 500 in the NASCAR
notification bell, so you are the first one here when that video drops.
Taylor Reimer, Cleetus suddenly found himself running second at the competition caution, right behind Ford Mustang Dark Horse for Rhett Jones Racing, sponsored by BaldEagle.com. And with 8 laps to go, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was pushing him and got him sideways. Sunday, Carson Hocevar had come so close to winning at Talladega before. He finished second.
Was doing it for Biff. This part of the story needs to be told properly. Greg Biff
to the outside wall to do a burnout and climbed on the roof. His co-owner Jeff Dickerson looked up. Saturday was that day. That's why Cleetus keeps yelling, "Be like Biff," Doza watching at home and called himself the luckiest guy in the world. Now Cleetus, like Biff, be like Biff, for Greg Biffle. Carson Hocevar was watching and became something bigger than just race results. Hocevar climbed out of the number 77. Carson Hocevar won the Jack Links 500. Cleetus McFarland
informative about it. That was real. That was personal. And the people who
love racing, love each other's company, and keep showing up and doing things that make people. Saturday, April 25th, the Alabama Manufactured Housing 200, and his best. He had it. Then Carson paused and started laughing. He said he just realized Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle. He won by 0.111 seconds. Cleetus second. Gus Dean third.
Time. After leading multiple laps and surviving the big one, a massive
this sport has seen in years. On Saturday, a YouTuber with nearly 5 million subs, and when the race boiled down to one final lap, Cleetus was right there fighting 3 wide. Now the roles were completely reversed. Cleetus said, hey, it was Cleet, and that he was. And Squirrel made him a promise. They told him one day they'd race together at an ARCA event. 2 cars touched and Bowman spun. The race somehow stayed green. Cleetusically, the whole reason these guys started racing in the first place. But there's a much deep. Bowman's number 48 and powered to the outside of Chris Buescher coming off the final corner. Cleetus took the lead, and his radio reaction went absolutely viral. He screamed,
multi-car wreck with 7 laps to go that destroyed several cars, including his friend. He said if he had cleared that car 1 more foot sooner, he would have had it. He said, back. The momentum was building again. And then came Talladega. The Alabama
finished 32nd, 6 laps down. He spun on lap 4, saved what to do to take the lead. Cleetus's answer was pure Cleetus. He said he loves nothing. This weekend was different. That is not a sponsored moment. That is not a content strategy. Car crash in the back brought out another caution. Cleetus got on the radio and said, honestly, probably the most fun I've ever had with my clothes on. Robusto finished 4th, winning the ARCA race. On Sunday, his buddy, a 23-year-old kid from Portage, Michigan, so proud of him. He told Carson he drives that thing to the front every single weekend.
Talking him through the super speedway chess match that confuses even experienced drivers. This thing ended because the finish of this race is going to be talked about for a long on his car, in his heart, and in every single lap he ran out front.
In a massive pileup on lap 115 that took out championship leader Tyler Reddick. The TV broadcast calls him Cleetus. He's the guy who runs the number 30. NASCAR had the good sense to mic up the phone call and put it in front of the whole world. A report guys who are just themselves. No corporate Polish, no filtered persona, just two people started on the lead with Ruggiero and Kimmel behind her, both with damaged noses. Cleetus
real driver. At Talladega on April 25th, Cleetus carried that tribute undeniably moving in one direction. Truck Series debut at Daytona and crash
who took off and led from the green flag. But Cleetus didn't waste any time. He moved. This is Carson. He was on pit road, and that they yelled at him like he was Dale Jr. when he took the lead.
And on Saturday, Cleetus was doing exactly that, competing with everything he had behind race leader Gio Ruggiero, who had started from pole. The team was on the radio. His response to the team? He said he loves nothing more than a good old
on the radio. What he said is now one of the most replayed moments from this entire Talladega.
Manufactured Housing 200, April 25th, 2026. Talladega
Be like Biff on his radio. It's for him. Okay. The race itself 25. And every time someone hands him a microphone, fans hold their breath. We're told him no. They wouldn't let him run the big O'Reilly Auto Parts race at Talladega this weekend.
He was told he was not ready for Talladega. NASCAR denied him. The critics lined up.
NASCAR can't even decide what to call him. The official entry list says Garrett Mitchell, Truck Series debut at Daytona after just 5 or 6 laps. Finished 30. Who called in to ask him a question. Cleetus McFarland was on the line. The same guy.
And then on April 25th, 2026, Cleetus McFarland showed up and followed this whole story from the beginning, felt it. Now let's talk about how the
super speedway for the first time in his entire ARCA career, and the crowd in a race that ended with a 3-wide photo finish. The argument that he's jumping left that in a script somebody would tell you it was too much, but it happened.
Honest about what happened. He said he left Jankowiak when he should have stayed with him.
Made the jump from making car videos online to actually racing real stock cars in 24. And then he told Cleetus directly that he was going to win one soon. That
Bradenton, Florida. He built his entire brand from scratch on horsepower, authenticity.
Compared a content creator to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front of a packed Talladega grandstand.
After a crash. His O'Reilly debut at Rockingham on April 4th saw him finish up front at the place he was told he wasn't ready for. When he mentioned Biff in the post-race
made contact, both of them lost speed. And Andy Jankowiak, who levels too fast, doesn't really hold up anymore. The fans saw it. The team
coaching him through every restart, explaining the rules, reminding him of positioning. 3 cars, 3 different lines. One of the closest superspeedway finishes.
For the win going into the final corner. He and Gustine banged doors. They scrubbed in by 0.111 seconds. Cleetus crossed second.
Real name Garrett Mitchell is a 31-year-old automotive YouTuber from Omaha, Nebraska.
And that he knew it was coming. He said he knew Carson was going to do it and that he drove his tail off. And it gave us a phone call between 2 friends that the entire sport stopped to watch. Bush from behind went door to door with Ruggiero and surged to the front. He was leading at Talladega
with veteran NASCAR Cup spotter Kevin Hamlin on his radio. He started 20.
Ruggiero 5th, Taylor Reimer 6th, despite getting 2 penalties early on. YouTube star best friend calling in from somewhere in the Talladega garage area. That is why, and that they were all so proud of him. Then he added one more line about the burnout. He sat on the windowsill of his number 77 Chevrolet, going 190 miles per hour.
One-off cameo, but as a driver with a legitimate multi-race deal with Richard Childress and an absolute refusal to slow down. And in 2026,
next O'Reilly Auto Parts Series start is at Nashville on May 30th in that number 33 at one of the most unforgiving tracks on the planet. And from the very first lap, he started moving. The TV broadcast actually interviewed Cleetus while he was leading under caution, and he was not playing.
High lane, built a run, and powered past them both at the line. Jankowiak won.
Ruggiero tried to take the lead back on the next restart, got too far up high, and Cleetus blew more than a good old drag race. Then, with about 30 laps to go, it happened. 30baldeagle.com Ford for Rhett Jones Racing. No qualifying because West dropped back to 5th. Isabella Robusto moved up to the lead. And then in a way that goes way beyond 2 friends racing at the same track on the same weekend. Built a huge run and came flying past both of them right at the line. I feel like I needed to back up a smidge. I left the number 71, who had led from the pole. Then came a restart that changed everything. Cleetus got a put
fourth in ARCA East at Rockingham the same weekend. Running seventh at Kansas Place pace at an intermediate track coming from the back was not the performance of a driver who does.
Breaking down what happened on that final lap, said this. Looking at that, he ran side by side virtually all the way to the checkered flag. Hocevar edged ahead by 0 through the pack and got himself into the top 10 really fast, settling the weekend. He got on the radio and told Cleetus directly. He said, "Hey, Cleetus," that celebration for a while, that he thought about his long legs and whether he could hit the throttle, and he told him he was proud of him. That right there stopped everything. A Cup Series
was not just a friend. He was the racing mentor who had been helping Cleetus become a award. By the competition caution, he had worked his way up to second place. Right
the chaos when the big one exploded and took out his running mate Squirrel McNutt, along with a dozen other.
His NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Daytona ended on lap 6.
The race itself kept delivering. Cleetus held the lead, lost it, fought back, survived
around him, and reclaimed the top spot. The crowd at Talladega, a massive
speed off each other just enough, and Andy Jankowiak powered around the outside and stole the win.
Race was angry. Then NASCAR denied his request to race in the O'Reilly Series at Talladega.
Years. And then he sat down at his press conference. Black cowboy hat.
Former NASCAR Cup Series driver, 19-time Cup winner, and one of NASCAR's 7 of winning at Talladega. The same Talladega he was told he wasn't ready for.
Ache out there, you know, like the Will Ferrell movie Talladega Nights. That movie is waiting to see what wild thing he's gonna say next. Now here's the thing. Up to this
track NASCAR said he wasn't qualified for in the O'Reilly Series, and nearly won.
Almost spun a few more times, and finally spun for real on lap 206, waving to the crowd with one hand and keeping the other on the wheel. He then steered nose first and feel something. Talladega 2026 gave us a 26-car pileup.
In laps, fighting for the win on the final corner at 200 miles per hour.
Other cars. He came out the other side still alive, still racing, still in contention. 100 someday. But after this run, the question hanging over everything is simple. Larson, all in one violent moment. Hocevar survived it.
In the same week, his next NASCAR O'Reilly Series start was confirmed. There is this time in the ARCA Menard Series in the number 30 Ford Mustang for Rhett Jones race,
threading him through the chaos. Then the team spotted a tire going down before it blew. Now if you don't know him, his name is Garrett Mitchell, but fans know him as Cleetus McFarland.
Just before the engine blew, and now second in ARCA at Talladega, leading.
It was real, and Cleetus heard it while leading laps at one of the most famous racetracks on Earth. Deliver supplies by helicopter to people in the Appalachian Mountains after Hurricane Helene back in 20.
C550 went down shortly after takeoff. Biffle's wife, Christina,
hadn't been anywhere near the front for most of the race, found a hole on the high side.
Does not belong. And his reaction to the engine failure told you everything. He called it a half. They met initially through Hurricane Helene relief efforts in western North Carolina. Kyle Busch had questioned his experience. The garage was skeptical. A portion of the fan base total gone. Biffle and Mitchell had become close friends over roughly a year, and 95 greatest drivers died in a plane crash on December 18th, 2025.
He has won his way into the championship. A great day for Kyle Larson.
The contact sent Eric Jones spinning down the track and brought out the final caution.
Progression line you can draw through Cleetus McFarland's 2026 season now, and it is
Cup Series. And when it was all over, while Carson Hocevar was sitting on stage at his post-race, he had done the exact same windowsill celebration at one of Cleetus's own races, and completely TV cameras saw it, and NASCAR saw it too, before getting spun out and finishing fourth. He had been knocking on the door for months, and every time Talladega just witnessed something almost nobody saw coming. A YouTube guy in a race car came within a tenth of
Childress Racing. RCR posted 4 words on social media. He's
a big one hit. Will Kimmel was pushing Thomas Annunziata up high. Annunziata
got a whole lot harder to answer with a no. He led laps at Talladega.
Cleetus was jumping on the wall or wherever he was, jumping up just like Carson was the day before.
Remember exactly where this whole journey started. Cleetus McFarland in a field of competitive ARCA drivers, and from the very first lap, he was moving forward.
Exchange right there. That back and forth between a Cup Series winner sitting on stage and got him to pit road immediately without losing a lap. That pit stop in that moment may have
The NASCAR community has rallied around the phrase "be like Biff" since Biffle's passing. He stepped into NASCAR's National Series ladder for real. Not as a stunt, not as a
running 7th before something broke on his car. So because of all that, NASCAR...
Or does he still need to earn it one track at a time? Drop it in the comments. 32nd, 6 laps down with 4 spins, including one that brought out a
into 7th place. Took 30 laps before the first caution came out. When this before, I just always wake up. His radio was so staticky, he thought there was still...
He pushed to the front, took the lead, and held it. Then Ruggiero got back out front, their children Ryder and Emma, and 3 others were also killed. 7 people. Then the Nashville O'Reilly start got confirmed. May 30th.
Real time, over 48 incredible hours. In 2026 were 11th at Daytona and 20th at Kansas after...
To understand why Saturday's result hit this hard, you have to go back and...
Your best result. And after the race, he said it was the greatest race he had ever been a part of. It started 4th. Down the backstretch, Ruggiero fell back. Kimmel took the lead
on lap 206. Kyle Petty had questioned why he was there at all.
And Cleetus told him he was the man and congratulated him one more time. That is
7th before a blown engine took him out. He did not get the result, but 7th racing in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. The season started rough.
Chili's fire suit, still running on pure adrenaline. And NASCAR told him there was someone
on lap 6. O'Reilly's debut at Rockingham, 32nd, 6 laps down.
Forward. By lap 15, the lead group had broken away from the rest of the field and Cleetus was
through his Daytona debut, his first Talladega start, his Charlotte run. He started pushing and bumping each other going into the final corner, which cost both of them momentum.
The crowd just treated him like Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Talladega. If you
are not subscribed yet, you are going to miss Nashville, and we promise
not just survived it either. His spotter Tyler Green guided him through the wreck in real time. Manufactured housing 200. Cleetus McFarland rolls off the grid 20th in the numbers at Talladega Superspeedway. 2 friends gave NASCAR one of the greatest back-to-back storylines.
This interview saying he was turning left for Greg Biffle and for Mr. Sam. There was nothing
7th. Then at Rockingham on April 4th, he ran the higher-level O'Reilly. Just sit on the door and ride and see everybody. That celebration is going to be replayed for...
His foot was pushing through the floorboard. He came up 1/10 of a second short of... He nearly won. And he did it while honoring one of NASCAR's greatest drivers, who account for. He kept showing up and kept getting better. At Kansas...
Story here. Both of them lost a really close friend in December. Greg been from pit road and got on the radio just to tell his friend how loud the crowd got. That vicariously through him. That answer is also the answer for Cleetus McFarland. One of the most genuinely real moments this sport has produced in a very long time. Cleetus McFarland was calling. NASCAR mic'd up the whole thing. And what happened next was what he literally did the celebration riding on the door at La Mullet's. Cleetus's own event.
In Statesville, North Carolina. He was on his way to visit Cleetus in Florida when the set immediately. Biffle had been mentoring Cleetus through his ARCA career, coaching him. The margin between first and third was just 0.114 seconds.
He'd forgotten about it until that moment. He called himself an idiot. The whole press room laughed. Holy things! Then immediately followed it with, be like Biff, be like a second of beating every single ARCA regular at one of the scariest tracks in racing. And then Andy passed us, got the W, congrats to him. Then he called it the greatest, and this was their first super speedway race together. They kept saying they were going to shake and finish second in the ARCA race the day before. And together at Talladega this weekend, these two
Speedway in the ARCA Menard Series, he started from 25th on the grid and worked his way up to
Savar. Cup Series driver, 23-year-old kid who had been following Cleetus's entire...
Tried to go down low to clear another car, didn't have enough room, and they got into each other.
Real name George Siciliano. The two of them have been making YouTube videos together for years. Right in it. By the halftime break on lap 41, he was running second behind Gio Ruggiero. Final corner, side by side, banging doors. They actually... NASCAR keeps telling Cleetus he isn't ready. He just led laps and finished second at Talladega. The way Cleetus connects with fans, he said he does not know. He said he is just...
Talladega crowd erupted. Then Cleetus got emotional in the car.
Works as an occasional pizza delivery driver. He climbed out of the car and said, I've done point in 2026. His racing career was a little rough. He crashed out of his NASCAR journey from day one. And the second Cleetus hit the front, Carson jumped on moments, real racing, and a friendship that the whole sport just got to watch play out in real.
You do not want to miss Nashville. Hit subscribe and ring that notification.
Subscribers led laps at Talladega and came within 0.111 seconds of
George Siciliano's number 0 Ford. Cleetus found himself right back in the thick of the
race press conference. In a black cowboy hat and a Chili's fire suit, his phone rang. Auto Parts Series in the number 33 for Richard Childress Racing. Started 35th.
Talladega. That was the moment the whole story threatened to stall out. But here is the win because the pace was there and he made it more than 75% of the distance. But Gus Dean were running together at the front, side by side, fighting for position. They started
24. That's how close they got. And before he passed away, both Cleetus and him on short tracks. They want him mixing it up with other drivers. Cleetus's reaction, but several drivers got destroyed, including his best friend Squirrel McNutt. After
that is Cleetus McFarland, and after today, nobody, not a
Allie Owens crashed in the tri-oval. After a restart penalty hit Jack Wood and NASCAR's Steve O'Donnell said they need to see more progress first. They won here. With 12 laps to go, Jake Bowman was pushing Cleetus to the lead, but the Don Core, Ryan Vargas, Jack Wood, and Daniel Dye rounded out the top. Reporter in that press conference asked Hocevar directly why he thinks he connects with fans the way he does.
Between turn 4 and the checkered flag, every single thought in his head was simply go.
It gave us a first career cup win by one of the sport's most exciting young drivers. It gave and sat on the windowsill of his car while driving the victory lap at 190 miles per hour. Let's back up and tell this story from the beginning, because Saturday and Sunday at Talladega were connected. This was his 48th career start and his first win ever. He worked 3 laps to go. Hocevar restarted with a shot at the win. He got a push from Alex Bird, just 3 thousandths behind Cleetus. Andy Jankowiak, the winner. Carson had called on the radio 24 hours earlier when Cleetus took the lead in the ARCA race.
Does Cleetus McFarland deserve a shot at the full NASCAR O'Reilly Series Superspeedway, the same 2.66-mile superspeedway where NASCAR had told Cleetus about Cleetus McFarland? He did not go quiet. He went to work
for a second, then he dropped back too. Gus Dean and Cleetus split him going through the
battle for the win as the race restarted. On the final lap, he and fellow driver
Lucky I am. Then quietly added, I wish Biff was start. At Talladega Superspeedway. What happened next is the moment this whole weekend that 2 YouTube guys could actually become real racers. He helped Cleetus deliver
the biggest, fastest, most chaotic superspeedway in America. The same
weather had washed out the session. Field set by owner points. Dead in the middle of the pack. Massive wreck. Cars went everywhere. Cleetus barely squeaked through. First race of his life. Said his team at Rhett Jones Racing and his spotter Kevin Hamlin did it.
Brother, it's Cleet. I'm so proud of you, buddy. I'm so proud of you.
In the span of 24 hours behind Ruggiero. His team got on the radio explaining the rules, telling him exactly who right past him. The crowd went nuts. Then more chaos. A 2-car
by 0.111 seconds. That is barely more than a tenth of a second.
Cleetus started 20th. The pole sitter was Gio Ruggiero,
NASCAR with over 4.7 million subscribers. He owns the Freedom Factory in.
I tried to go down. I didn't have enough room. We started beating each other up and himself. He said a lot of race fans probably always dream of racing and maybe they get to do it. 10. ARCA takes the next week off. Their next race is May 8th at Watkins. 1 lap to go. He won the thing. He put on a green bandana for his best friend Steve Mann, who gave NASCAR exactly what it has been searching for. Real people, real moments.
Between Rockingham and Talladega, Cleetus did something the critics did not fully.
Chevy. Then he runs Michigan to close out his season. The dream is the Daytona 500 at Atlanta in 2025. He led at the white flag of this year's Daytona 500 trick 24-hour stretches either of them has ever experienced at a racetrack. And
flying helicopters to deliver supplies to communities devastated by flooding. They bonded. Single person can tell this story the same way anymore.
He's 31 years old, owns a place called Freedom Factory, and
on the outside. But he overextended, and Cleetus roared back
an amazing job, and gave the line that everybody's now repeating. He said, "I'm humble." He told them straight up, "Mark my words, I am winning this race." 0.114 seconds. First career Cup Series win. In his 91st, called it immaculate. Carson responded immediately. He thanked Cleetus and said he hoped, "Way to rub it in." Just kidding. So instead, he ran the ARCA race on Biffle, the 19-time Cup Series winner. Biffle was the one who showed them.
Andy Jankowiak, who had been running in the mix all day in the number 71, found the
driver voluntarily jumping on his friend's ARCA race radio in the middle of a race to tell him that
you will ever see. Cleetus finished second. Afterward, he was completely.
That is two people who genuinely care about each other sharing one of the most in his entire life and probably the most fun he had ever had with clothes on. Then came.
And if you know anything about Cleetus McFarland's story, you understand exactly why. Because he
on and said he looked like Shamu hanging out the window. Carson said afterward that he had been thinking